The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Coming to you from underneath a peach blossom, it's time for an episode of BeAuSm. Find positivity throughout your life and work, just like our mascot rooster, Steve the Jerk.
Hello, BeAuSm listeners. Thank you for joining us on this episode. This is a little bit of a chopped up episode, sadly. We did a 24-hour podcast marathon on St. Patrick's Day with the ParadeDeck and a friend of mine, Andrew Appleton. And Andrew wanted to interview me and talk about all things sales. For those of you that don't know, my career, for the most part, has been in sales organizations or small businesses that I've owned, which require you to be a salesperson. We've got about 35, 40 minutes. This episode comes in right about the middle, but we figured there was enough good meat and potatoes in it to share with you. And we'll probably do a re-recording at some point and talk all things sales again for those that are in business or want to be in business or in the sales business. We'll share some more with you. So sit tight and listen to this episode. Let us know what you think. And if you like our episodes and you're having fun, we would love and appreciate and be grateful for your 5-star rating and review on your podcast platform of choice. Follow, share, like on YouTube. That exposure, that added opportunity for us to get out in front of others and more people is something we really strive for here. So in the meantime, if you can be anything, be awesome and enjoy the episode.
I did say that, like, wow, 5,000 is a lot of money, but I didn't. There's a book, I can't reference this, but about how we compare things.
Yep.
So $5,000, I could think of like that was the last computer I looked at, or that was the down payment for this, and I'm comparing Joshua Peach with a TV or a computer, and that's not what I'm purchasing. I'm buying Joshua Peach. And so that value is attached to that, but our minds don't work that way sometimes. We want to associate that money with what we're, like other things. And so I think that, for us as a creator community, and one of the things that I want to do is try to make that easier for our creators, help them with the tools, and you bringing this to us helps immensely.
So I know we're coming up on time. I want to see if we can speed question those remaining questions. But here's the question on that A and B. You're not going to come into a situation where it's A and B. It's always going to start with A, B, and C. The average buyer looks at an average of 3 companies that they want to consider to look at. Typically, what they'll do is they'll look at the lowest, the middle, and the highest. And 7 times out of 10, they're going to choose the middle just a psychological thing. It's too inexpensive. We're obviously not going to get what we want. It's too expensive. They're taking advantage of us. The middle person is probably the most realistic and what we want to go with. So the answer to figuring things out is, how do you put yourself as a unique differentiator in any of those positions? Because you never know if you're going to be the lowest, the middle, or the highest. So how do you position yourself that they're getting the greatest value, the greatest service, and the greatest product at the price that they're paying? And showing that commitment. So A, B, and C. I didn't mean to modify the question, but let's hit another one.
Yep, and we have time because our next guest is running majorly behind. So
good. I'll stay on as long as you want.
So, all right. So you already answered. He said, "Fun question. What's Peach's rule when it comes to negotiating discounts?"
Yep.
We don't.
Yep.
Well, you can discount the services, but all right. So
discounting is discounting before you go. Discounting is a rabbit hole you don't want to go down.
Yep.
If you do it, you have to have a very there has to be a give. You don't just discount to discount, because if you do it once, this is my I had a sales leader once, longtime client, and it was a close of a quarter, and he says, "Hey, just give him XYZ." And I said, "Look, if you give him this now, you're going to have to give it to him forever, for all perpetuity. He's going to remember that you gave him this discount." And he says, "Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it." And I said, "No, we won't. It's either you either do it all the time or you do it none of the time. So don't ever discount just for the sake of discounting to get the deal, because it's going to bite you right in the tail in the end."
I like that.
Sorry, I got
When you were saying
passionate about that. I was
we
like,
should,
yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, we shouldn't even use that word discount.
Yeah.
Like, I don't discount. This is the price we can, modify. I'd
Yeah.
love to modify the services. If you choose these A, B, and C.
So you talk about influencers, and there's this movement called de-influencing, because there's these influencers are making such perfect videos that it's causing like mental health issues with folks, and I totally get it. And so these de-influencers are doing more genuine, raw stuff. But hey, you get somebody that comes on and they've got a massive following, which you've got a couple of folks that have a huge following. Well, that's a big difference between me. That's a big difference between me that doesn't do much with social media. I should pay full price. I should pay probably more than full price, because you're going to help get me to those places. Now, if one of those people comes along and they say, hey, we want to get your service. Well, hey, if you promote us 3 times a month on your website or on your social media, or you share a link or whatever, that's worth the 10%. That's a partner plan. That's not a discount plan. That's a partner plan.
Yeah, and that's where we're moving to, that collaboration, that brand alignment. Like, how does all right, Joshua may not be up on social media, but he is up on this pure talent of speaking and sales and XYZ, and where this other influencer, man, they've got the reach. So we tie you together in this alignment, and now we offer this exponential value to whoever it is that we're reaching out to. So. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's really key to our model, is to create that. So what has Josh seen from top sales reps over the years that make them successful? I'm specifically asking about reps that are consistently hitting quota. So let me caveat that just on a creator's side, so you have this in your head. You do have, we call it an engagement rate, so when you do posting and your views and things like that, you mentioned that Code Talker post that got like 1 million, views and all that. Yeah. That was a one-off. That was not a consistency. So if you took my average, it'd be much lower. So what are those traits of those successful sales folks, and what are they doing to keep that consistency?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of negative feedback on this one, because there's a lot out there, and I've seen a lot of executives that I know close that have done the tough things, that are now saying, hey, you've got to make more time for yourself, you've got to do this and you got to do that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. You do need to find balance. I don't have it. I'm a work in progress, and I'm failing on more than I am succeeding in a lot of that. But a lot of the traits are dynamic work ethic. From a sales perspective, it's simple stuff. It really is. I can tell you right now, I probably have, on any given week, I'll probably have 100 to 200 salespeople reach out to me to want to sell me something, whether it's a lead generation software, a coaching service, whatever it is. I would say that less than 5 actually put a phone number that I can reach them at. So one of the things that quota reaching salespeople is they make themselves available. They never miss a ring. When the phone rings, that's money calling. And I've seen way too many salespeople that have this weird feeling of like they're going to show importance and go to voicemail. So a dynamic work ethic, always going to be their mindset for their potential client, a client for life mindset. So a lot of salespeople today, they make the sale and they send it off to client success or client service. The people get trained, they go and use the product. They never backfill. The most successful quota attaining sales reps are the ones that are leveraging their relationships to grow their business. So I don't look to get customers, and I don't even look to get clients. I look to get references. Like I said no to someone the other day, and they said, "Why? What do you mean you're saying no?" I said, "You're not a good reference." Like and he's like, "What? You're not a good reference." I'm in this software startup I'm in. I'm one sales rep. I'm the point salesperson for a very large territory. There's other people that are doing sales in the organization, but for the areas that I'm at, I'm the only guy. And in that same space, there's companies that have 5, 10, 20, in one case, 30 people covering the same amount of land that are paid sales reps. If I'm not leveraging my references and my network and my community to help me, then I'm never going to compete with them. So having a strong book of business that you're taking care of. So let me take care of you today so I can take care of your friends tomorrow mindset. But they're working outside the hours. I use this in the sales presentations sometimes with folks that have a challenge with people and working hours, because the salespeople show up at 8 and leave at 5 like most other positions. And I bring a broken clock in, and I say this broken clock says 2 things. One, even a broken clock is right twice a day. And the other thing is this clock represents your client. We're on their time, not on yours. So don't sit here and say, oh, it's 5 o'clock. I got to leave. If a client says, can we do this at 6? Unless you have something imperative, if there's no reason for you not to do it, then you should do it. I mean, the Les Trackman, who I talked about, the best story was, he's a CEO of a health tech company, of a highly successful health tech company. And on New Year's Eve, 4 years ago, he had an inbound lead that said, I'd like to see your software. And he was waiting for dinner for his New Year's celebration. He had an hour or so. He responded back. It was a radiologist in Azerbaijan. He had an hour-long conversation. Guess what? Guy's still a client. He's a reference. He's a raving fan. And he did what needs to be done. So it's doing what everybody else isn't doing. It's daring to be different, to do that stuff, to say I love you on occasion, doing the tough things, getting in there, getting dirty, and never saying, never putting yourself in a position where I'm too good for this. There's a young man, his name's Evan, who was he wasn't a great salesperson, but I saw that he had greatness in him. And I talked to him. I was like, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? Because sales probably ain't it. And he turned out to be the top producing salesperson for a couple of years for the company he's at. And I went to one of their sales kickoff meetings, and all of the sales account executives, if you will, that were in his group were all in a breakout session. And Evan was in the SDR room trying to learn, tips and tricks on how people were now, and I hate to use the word tricks, but how to get into a conversation, because he still makes cold calls. So, if you want to be a continued quota carrying salesperson, making the difference, making the numbers and everything else, you got to be on the front lines through your career. I make cold calls to this day, 47 years old, done all this stuff, and I still love making cold calls. And, so you got to have that dynamic work ethic, that commitment, and nothing is ever beneath you in your role. Cause you're what people see. You're that piece. When I owned the spring water business with my stepfather, he and I got to a point where we had grown exponentially, and I drove a truck every day. I drove a big box truck, a three panel box truck, and I delivered hundreds of bottles, 5-gallon bottles of water every single day. And I went to my dad and I said, I don't want to drive the truck anymore. And my dad said, and I would bring business cards and I'd hand them out. We'd fill in what we called route density. And I said, I'm done, Dad. I don't want to do this anymore. And he says, well, the day you stop driving a truck is the day we stop doing business. And I said, what?
Oh,
and
wow.
This was in the early 2000s. And he said, the day you stop driving a truck, and he still drove a van. He didn't drive a truck because he was getting too many parking tickets. So I put him in a van. But he said, the day you stop driving the truck, is the day our clients don't think that we need them anymore and that we're not that important. You need to be in front of them. You need to understand what their challenges are, what their needs are, and you need to show them the appreciation for their business so that they know where their hard-earned money is going and paying our rent and taking care of our family. So you always have to be in front of your clients. You cannot just pump and run.
I want to ask a question, because it's something you said and it's been on my mind. You mentioned, that be there, well, I'm just going to give you the scenario. It's not a scenario. It actually just happened last night. So anymore, the sales cycle is you get a call, or you set up a demo. I want a demo on your technology or your service. Mm-hmm. Somebody connects with you, you set up an appointment, they do a 30-minute qualifying conversation of who you are, what you want. And then they're going to pass that on to someone that's actually going to your account rep. They're the ones that are going to close the deal. They're going to negotiate. You're going to sign the contract with. Then you get assigned your real rep, the one that's going to onboard you.
Painful.
And okay. So my question is, I always fall in love with the second person because they're the ones that are telling me my business model is worthy of their product or vice versa. So they're pulling me in, I'm pulling them in, and we're all excited and we're going over use cases. And then that relation ends.
Yep.
And you know, now that love just is drained, and I'm starting over with someone that doesn't have that relationship with me and excitement. So this happened 2 times, in the last couple of days.
Yep.
I fell in love with my salesperson and really put a lot into it. And this happened actually yesterday. And I signed the contract yesterday, and then they assigned me my login. And I went into the login to try to do some things, and it wouldn't work. So I emailed the salesperson because I haven't been assigned account rep yet. And this was at 10 o'clock at night Eastern. So I wasn't expecting a response, but she responded. She responded back.
Pretty cool, right?
Great. Thanks. Yeah. Oh, I think you're muted. Are you muted?
No. No. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can't hear you.
How about now? I'm not muted.
Can you hear me though, right?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I wonder why I can't hear you. How
about now?
But I'll finish my thought here.
Yeah.
And then I got an email from another customer or another software company that I'd signed a deal with the day before, and he emailed me, and I immediately emailed him back and didn't get a response. So let's see if we can get your audio going here.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me?
You can hear me though.
Yes. Yep.
He can hear you.
Yep. Hang on. He just muted me. I can't hear you now. Now I can.
How about now?
I can hear you.
Me?
Now. Yep. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
I'm not hearing you though.
Can you switch to any to see if it works?
Good thing for live streaming.
Can you hear me now?
So
can you hear me now?
Let's see, Josh.
How about now?
I see your volume's on. I'm on.
You muted me. You muted me.
All right, Josh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes. I can hear you.
So some reason yours is disconnected.
Here, disconnect me and bring me back. Let's try that. Can you do that real quick? We'll be right back. Hey, 1 second. 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Hey, well, it's me. So we'll get Joshua back. So thanks for your patience on this. Hope you're enjoying this live stream. We did kind of an interruption in our live stream, so we are back up though. So if you're watching on Stars and Stripes, we're back up on there. So we'll get Josh back on here. So
now,
hope your St. Patrick's Day is going great. Oh, there's Josh.
Can you hear me?
All right. I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, there we go.
And you can hear me?
All I do is hang up and come back again. So let's
yeah.
pick up where you left off.
So anyway, long story short, I fall in love with the second person, and then when I get to the rep, they don't know the story as well as the second person did. What's your thought on that? How is that transition? I mean, should you just warn me up front that this is a one-night stand?
Yeah.
I mean,
so as a buyer, you should ask what the journey is going to look like. So, and I educate buyers now. So that's something that I do as a sales professional. In some cases, I work with buyers, and I'll say, hey, when you go to work with somebody, ask them right up front, how many people am I going to have to talk to before I actually make the purchase and get trained? And if they say it's more than one, ask them if it's possible to have one point of contact. That's why I give that phone number, 508-238-5711. You call me, you got me cradle to grave. You got me from day one until day done. Even if there's other people that come into the mix, I'm always going to be there.
Mhm.
I'm always your front point of contact. I always will be. I always want to be. Again, it's that importance of references. So you'll refer the second person, but think about it as in the forms of a personal relationship. You go out on a date with someone, you buy him some chocolates, you have a good day, and then all of a sudden they go, things aren't going to work out with us, so I'm going to give you to my friend over here, and you're going to see how that goes. And then all of a sudden you see the second person, you're like, oh, this person really knows their stuff. They really care about me. They really understand, because that's beyond the discovery, right? That's the we see a match. There's a nice fit here. And then all of a sudden that person says, I don't think we're compatible as you think we are. I'm going to give you to the next person. This is my friend that doesn't get out much. And then that's the person that's going to supposedly be the most experienced and close you. But that person's probably the least forward facing and the least experienced, even though they have the years of experience. They're not on the front lines every day. They're not seeing what's going on. They're just there to try to close you, get their business, get their commission. And that's the problem with the multi-stage sales cycle, which is they're not thinking about the client. They're thinking about maximizing the number of opportunities they can create for the number of sales that they can get to satisfy shareholders and get to that next level of where they want to sell their business. They're not thinking about, hey, we want this to be a long-standing relationship where everybody makes out and everybody's good. And you know what? That's okay if you know about it. But I think in any exploratory when somebody calls, like I actually had a really good sales rep reach out to me on a service that I need. And I said, yeah, let's schedule a time to call. This person called me 3 times, emailed me twice. I said, let's schedule a call. They said, all right, I'm going to put you through to Andrew. Here you go. And I said, no. You did all this work. You put all this stuff in. You sit in this call. If you want to get to Andrew's spot in role number 2, you need to be involved in it. And they said, oh, they don't let me do that. Companies should allow people to do cradle to grave, even these new SDRs, just for experience. They're not going to see it and understand it, but it's painful. It hurts. I only work with companies that I have a single point of contact that I say, if something goes wrong, I don't care if they have the answer. I don't have most of the answers. I'm very lucky. I've got in the software side of the world that I'm in, I have 90+% of the questions I don't have the answer to. But what I do have is I got a bullpen of experience that I send out an all points bulletin on Slack, and I get an answer from my team that is 100% accurate and correct and delivered back to my potential client or client in a timely fashion. So yeah, you got it, but you got to ask about it because
I like that. I'm going to start doing that. Yeah, because it's very discouraging. I mean, like I'm a little discouraged right now because I'm, doing 2 big projects with 2 different companies that are very expensive, and I had that courtship, had the excitement, and then now it just kind of went troop. And I'm like, now I don't even want to do this, but they have something that I need, so that's kind of what they got going for them is like, kind of they're the only game in town. So I completely understand that, when you start scaling, you do have to have some type of ability to reduce those cost of acquisition and onboarding. Right now for like ParadeDeck, I do the onboarding. I'm like, sign up. You got 60 minutes of my time. You got me on text. You got me on phone. Because, we're a startup. We're trying to get, feedback. I'm trying to watch what you're doing on, as you're going through setting up your account. But I do know at some point I have to scale. Now, I do use technology to kind of guide people. That's kind of my first line of, hopefully they can get through this. But I need to go back and revisit my process before I start that scaling up of, hiring more people and more layers to the key that you're trying to get to. So
again, this goes to that 80% evaluation by the prospective buyer. I'm sure you get LinkedIn Premium, but any of those companies, I'll look at LinkedIn Premium, I'll go to the insights, and I'll look at the tenure. So if the tenure is low, like under a year, then it's just, and I'm not saying it's a revolving door, right? And it's not all the company's fault. There's less loyalty today than there ever has been to companies. And I think it's great. I think that, millennials and Gen Zers are getting a bad rap, but guess what? They're figuring out what happy looks like. Lots of people go through 30 years of a career and they're miserable and they stay in the same place because that's what they think they need to do. So I applaud them. And you want to find happiness, but it's the company's responsibility to deliver soul, not culture, soul in a company that people want to stay at, and that it's really hard for them to want to leave. And then that's when you start to build a framework of a business that's based on relationship, not just on some widget that you sell that's better than what everybody else has.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. A couple of companies I work like Flowcode, they've got an amazing culture.
Yep.
And, I just had a call with them the other day, and their building just moved into a new office space. And in fact, we use all their technology. We use their technology on ParadeDeck as far as our QR codes and tracking and analytics. So they've got an amazing platform there. All right. I'm going to give you one more question.
Something I still need to do. I got to use my free 1 year that I got. I got to use my free 1 year that I got 2 years ago.
Oh.
For Flowcode.
So I know and in fact, I'm trying to find your Flowcode here and put it on the screen. They're amazing organization. Where are you here? I'll find it here in a second. I'll ask you a question first. All right. If he was leading, Josh, if you were leading a sales team today, what would be consistent? What would you consistently be working on when it comes to the fundamentals of selling?
Oh, what would I be working on consistently with the fundamentals of selling? Well, that's easy. The fundamentals of selling, which is I would be working with I'd be working. So, well, I mean, the fundamentals are pretty simple, right? You show up prepared. You do a great job to the best of your ability every day. You look out for one another. You have a true team mindset. It's not a look at me and what's in it for me, credit.com. And that you're constantly looking at your team and trying to help grow them. Just about every sales company in the tech space has software that ties into their CRM that records every phone conversation with a prospective client. And they pay big money for that. And I talk to people all the time and I say, how often do they actually use those recordings to help you do your job better? How often do they listen to those and sit down with you and say, hey, you know what you could have done here? This was a sign right here. This was a sign that you should have hung up the phone. Or this was a sign where this person has a pain and you didn't catch it. Like, the job of a salesperson is to prescribe. We're almost in many ways a therapist of trying to find out where people's pains are, and then see if we have, for lack of a better word, when we use prescription, if we have the medicine to help get them better, right? And to make them and to get them to do better. And so, for me, what I have found is there's too much looking at spreadsheets and not enough looking at people. And I think that what I would do as a sales leader, and as I did as a sales leader, is the first thing I did, and I was a sales leader remotely, so I didn't have my team in front of me every day. But one thing that I made a point to do was I made a point to call my team every single morning. Very rarely, if ever missed, I'd have to be on a plane or someplace else. And I'd tell them to have an awesome day and ask them if there's any tools that they need or if there's anything that they need from me to help make their day a more productive one. And I'd let them go about their day, and they can call me. They could do whatever they need to do to get through their day. If they needed something during that 8, 9, 10 hour day, whatever it was. And at the end of the day, I'd call them and I'd ask them how they were doing, and I'd close the day out. So the human factor is the main fundamental that I would focus on, which is making sure that our team has the skills and the tools that they need to be successful, constantly honing them and growing them, and not just letting them sit in a desk and make idle calls, uninterested, disinterested, and getting a result that is possibly consistently inconsistent. I'm not a big metrics person. I always find that if in sales, if you're doing your job, quotas are written most of the time by people that probably that wouldn't have to do it, right? So they don't have to go out and see what selling $1 million looks like. That said, as a sales leader, it's our job to look at that, evaluate it, and say, you know what, this was priced right and everybody did a great job and they knocked it out of the park. Or, hey, you know what, this was priced wrong. We missed the mark on this. We need to make an adjustment on it, and here's why. And sometimes that's tough, right? That's a tough thing to do. But that's not based on a number of calls that you make. The world has become if I make 100 dials, someone will take a demo, and out of that demo, 46% of the people will buy, and out of the 46% of people that buy, they'll stay for 4.5 years. And Yeah, that's all true. That's all true in theory. But there's ways that if you grow people, you can break that mold, and you can get it so that they make 50 calls and they get the same result, or 15 calls and have that same result. Yeah. You saw it. I made 4 calls and I got a better result than what what those guys were getting in a full day, right? And that's because of training, honing the skill, growing the people, caring about them, and doing that back end stuff. And it's not, you don't need to record conversations. As a sales leader, sit down next to the person, dial with them, make it fun. You got to make it fun.
Yeah, with my travel business, I'll actually do that. I'll bring all my new agents on a phone call with me, so they can hear it. They can hear the questions. They can hear, how I respond back. You know me. I'm very passionate and kind and generous, and probably to a fault. So I definitely need to bring on some talent that's not afraid to tell people, ask people to pay, etc. But what responsibility is it from my part to that company when you experience that? And I'm just going to give you an example. I won't say company's name, but I'll just say Flowcode, because I'm going to give them a big compliment.
Yep.
Well, let me prep with this. Anytime I talk to a salesperson on something that I want, I tell them I'm very loyal. Mm-hmm. I tend to be very loyal and invested, not only in the product, but in them. I'll give them shout outs. I'll do testimonials. I'll give them feedback. That's how I am. With Flowcode, they've proven to be an amazing partner because they continually provide me genuine affirmation and thanks for what I'm giving to them, and I'm a paying client. That's an amazing relationship. Someone's paying you, and helping you grow, but they're giving me something back. So, but there's other companies that it's not like that. So what is it for me to be able to help that company in that sales team? So when I want feedback, I'll call you, or I'll call somebody that's a ParadeDeck creator, and I'll be like, you know what? I know you're an early adopter. I know you're my friend, you're doing this, but was my presentation all right? Did I ask the right questions, or did I just consume the conversation with all the cool things that ParadeDeck is about, and I missed what's important to you?
So we'll give the example for you, which is ParadeDeck, right? And you do it perfectly, right? You've had ParadeDeck for what, couple of years now? Is it 2 years?
So no, not just a year. Yeah.
Okay, so
November
a year.
Of last year.
So you reached out to me and you asked me, hey, would you become a subscriber of ParadeDeck? I said, sure. I don't know what it is. I trust you. So you've built that, you established that baseline trust, right? And what you do is you're cognizant and appreciative of my time, but knowing that I'm also a customer, and you just occasionally just say, hey, I get this really cool thing here. Let me do this. And like, I'm looking at the flow code with my picture in the middle. I don't know how the heck that happened. You made that happen, right? And you show it to me, and I go, wow, that's really cool. Right. So you're naturally from the business getting feedback. You're doing this by just naturally being inquisitive and showing excitement of, hey, we're doing this. Hey, I'd really like to get your insight and information and feedback on this. What's really cool, what you said about Flowcode, which is great, because the interactions I've had with them, I'm spot on with you. I think they're a great company. Building a raving fan, or having a raving fan is first and foremost paramount, and I just read it in a book called What You're For. And it made all the sense in the world. Is companies need to be raving fans of their clients before clients can be raving fans of them. And once you do that, so like Bill Cooper, I'm going to talk about software. So like Bill Cooper in Milford, New Hampshire, or John Stangler in Pewaukee, Wisconsin, as a couple of them, I'm raving fans of what they do. I talk about what they do. I cheerlead. I get excited. Albuquerque Public Schools in New Mexico. John Dufay and Dr. Blakey down there. Their every child, every class, every day mindset is nothing short of extraordinary. They know that, and so what that in turn happens is I put that out. I put that energy out to the world of like, I genuinely love what you do, and I do. And I talk about it and I shout it from the rooftops. What in turn happens, that's probably what happened with Flowcode, is you show that affirmation, that appreciation, and then all of a sudden that comfort level and that excitement and that enjoyment. And you are now an ambassador of Flowcode, right? They don't pay you, you probably pay them. And you're an ambassador building their business, and that you can't put a value on that. And so it's really about being a raving fan of your clients before you expect them to be a raving fan of you.
You know what's interesting? First of all, I can't thank you enough for just your friendship and consistency in both good and bad conversations that we have on, the positive, and listening to me dump on you. I think it's important to have those friends that you can call and say, I'm really having a crappy day. Listen or tell me how crappy your day is so I can feel better. But I love that interaction we have. But talk about ambassadors. I have the person coming up next to you, next on here, Laura. The other day, she's like, "Hey, do you mind if I can become an ambassador for ParadeDeck? Unpaid position, right?"
Yep.
And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm
Yeah.
like, "That's huge compliment." And then one of our other creators, she actually added it to her LinkedIn experience as a
Yep.
ParadeDeck creator. I was posting something the other day, and it said an employee reshared this or something. I'm like, who? What?
Yep.
And it was one of our creators actually added it. And and I'm not patting myself on the back, but I do believe what that is that genuine passion I hope they feel
Yep.
from me. Like, you are super, super important. And I think the other thing that works for me is I'm honest. I mean, I
Yep.
try to always be honest, but I'm transparent. Like, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know how this is going to look at the end of the day, but it could be pretty ugly. But let's give it a shot. And in this next thing I'm going to say is for another conversation. But I've studied that crossing the chasm by Jeffrey Moore, crossing the chasm, and how you have bell curve, and you got the mass market here in the middle, but you've got these early adopters, which to me you're an early adopter. Like, I know you, I trust you, it looks pretty cool, might work, I'm in, I'll pay you a couple bucks a month.
Will work.
But then when you run out of what's that?
It will work.
Yeah, yeah, it will work. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you get out of those early adopters, it's like friends and family investing. You're going to run out of that soon. You have to change your message, because what works on Josh is not going to work on somebody that is more set in their way. They need more proof. They need more, like, what other company has done this? What's the success? And the further you get along that bell curve, the more difficult it is, and that challenge of crafting a message that is going to work on that next segment, that next audience, because that 10%, that's easy. They speak my language. They're the Joshes of the world, but there's only 10% of you, or 5%. So kind of like our last conversation here briefly, but like I said, it's a bigger conversation. How do you advise your sales team? And I know there's probably a difference of ones that are just cold calling, but how do they craft their message? How do you teach someone to do that?
Yes, this is a great question. Well, you got a couple pieces in there. One of the things that's cool one of the things that's really cool that I want to share, and when we talk about branding and people want to be ambassadors, something that was really cool that's happened to me in the last 2 weeks that I'm just blown away by is I have people around the country that are going to the registry of motor vehicles, and they're having their license plate, they're paying for it, changed to say BeAuSm. Like, how cool is that?
I've seen all yeah.
I don't ask them to. I put a picture of my truck with my license plate that said BeAuSm is in Massachusetts. What other states could they be? And I just put it as kind of a joke. And then I had, a friend in Connecticut sent me this, and I was blown away. I mean, it made my day. And then another one in New Jersey, and there is talk of a couple more that are going to be coming pretty soon. Think about that, 50 states having BeAuSm. How cool is that? So building that brand where people want to wear it and they want to put it on their car is just absolutely just such a cool feeling for me to experience. As far as the bell curve, I think you need to go into business with a realistic understanding of where do you want to be, right? Do you want total global domination? Is that your expectation? Then you're going to have to adapt and adjust, and you're going to have to care less about the client and more about the business and figure out all of the scalability and everything else. Or do you want to have a business that you're going to make a difference, that you're going to make an impact? And I think that the business that you build, that you start with friends and family, Most people don't start with friends and family too, by the way. But friends, if you start to build a business with friends and family at the foundation, those are the most important people in your life that you don't want to let down. That is the greatest mindset to have in business across the board. If somebody doesn't appreciate the friends and family mindset of care, consistency, and quality, then something is wrong with them. Sorry, it's not meant to be an insult, and that's probably not somebody that you want to do business with. So there's a percentage of the business out there of your business opportunity that wants best price. There's a percentage of the population out there that's all they want. I don't talk to them. I let them go and find the best price because I'm probably not it. There's a percentage of people out there that want to have the best service and they want to have the best product at the best price possible for that product. That's your group and that's your core. And you have to be realistic. There's too many organizations out there that just want total global domination. And I make jokes about it and I do it. And I've been in the only, look, if we're not, it's like for Ricky Bobby, if you're not first, you're last. I like being first. I like being biggest, fastest growing and all that stuff. I do. But the one thing that I never do is I never pay attention to studies that say that I have to change how I do things in order to grow my business. Yeah. I believe that if I one of the first people that I sold when I came back into the software business after gone for 2 years was the school that my mother is a teacher in. Right? I'm not going to let them down. I'm not going to let them down. Right. I didn't sell it to my mother. I sold it to their staff. I'm selling the town that I live in, the town that I grew up in. I'm going to those places because those are the people that know me for a long time and they know I'm not going to let them down. And I'm going to carry that quality, care, consistency across the board throughout. And if people don't want that, then they're not a good fit. And so you just have to be realistic. And I think that there's just too many organizations today that just, again, putting 3 and 4 people in your line that you're going to break up with to get to the purchase. That's not something that's long-standing. Yep. That's a red flag for me.
Yeah, I love that. And here's your store. And you didn't ask me to promote you, but I love this stuff. And when you were telling me about the license plate, I just think it's cool. People come up and say like BeAuSm, and that's cool. You know? And I'm probably not saying go to BeAuSm.com, but is just that brand awareness, and you've made it fun for me to want to do that. So if you guys want to show off some BeAuSm.
So this is cool. As you're saying this, my mother actually sent a text during this call, and I'm not sure if you can see it. Oh, I just shut my phone off on myself. My mother just sent me a text, and she said one of her teachers was driving down the highway and was behind a car with a BeAuSm sticker on it and sent it to me. I get that stuff all the time. It's just so cool. And I get it from around the country. We just found a sticker in Ireland. There was a sticker on a box out by the cliffs in Ireland, like Hong Kong. Like it's really cool. And I'm just one person that's got some shirts and some stickers. And now we have rocks glasses for those that want to have an evening beverage where, Mark Resnick, who's helping me write my book, and he's also, he's just a godsend. He's taken over all my merchandise. He's putting all of the good stuff together. And I wanted to do a rocks glass for a celebratory drink. Actually, a friend in Missouri, Charlie Branham, he actually handmade smoker tops, wooden smoker tops. I don't know if you've seen these, but they've got the little mesh nets in the bottom. You put some wood in it. You put the drink of choice with an ice cube and you light it on fire, and the smoke goes down into the glass. So if you want a real smoky bourbon, it's kind of a cool thing.
Oh, wow.
So he said, I'm going to make you a couple of these. And I said, well, I got to have BeAuSm rocks glasses. And Mark Resnick says, well, let's engrave Tika at the bottom of it. And so he did. And we put it on the store, and we've sold a couple, but it's very cool. I'm luckier than I deserve to be as far as, the message and the people that are getting behind it, whether it's a license plate, a t-shirt, a sticker, or someone just saying, hey, you got to have this person speak, because, my money, my revenue, as we talk about influencers and everything, podcasts don't pay. Podcasts cost a lot of money. And so the best thing, the best thing you got to do is you got to find things that generate revenue. And every keynote I stole from a car wash in Mansfield. And I just say, if I did a good job, tell your friends. If I didn't, tell me. And that's the thing that's what I live off of. And it's also a great out, because if I didn't do a good job and you go tell your friends, you didn't follow the sign, and that's on you. That's not on me. So, no, it's,
I love that.
Very cool.
You know where you make, you a lot of people can get focused on that merchandise, which you don't. Like that was a good decision to do that. I don't know if you had this thought process, but you had to have said, if I do it myself, my profit margin is this. If I don't do it myself, my profit margin is much smaller. And you chose that route. And I'm assuming it's because my profit margin now from what I can really do is this.
Yeah,
and I asked
there's no profit margin in merchandise right now. Shipping and handling is just buried us. The average cost for a T-shirt to ship a year ago, my average cost a year ago was $3.89. One shirt and a poly bag nationwide, that was the average, $3.89. You got to pay for the shirt, you got to stuff the shirt, you got to put it together, you got to build the website, you got to do all that stuff. So at the end of a $29.99 shirt, it was $3.89 last year. This year, that same poly bag, stuffed in a bag, sent around the country, you're looking at almost $9. It's just can't raise the price. You can't raise the price on the merchandise. Those rocks glasses are $48 for two. Mark's going to kill me because I'm selling our secret sauce. But if we make $5 on that, I'd be surprised. And we got to carry inventory.
Right.
I had to buy 100 of those things. So you're carrying a ton of inventory. So there's no I don't recommend merchandise. It's not for the faint of heart. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, as an entrepreneur, I mean, I'm very guilty of this. Like, I can focus on the shiny things, and I just need somebody to remind me, like, is that shiny thing taking you in the direction of your message, of your passion, of your goal, or is it a fun project to divert your attention because this over here is too difficult to continue doing?
Yeah,
and I think I have to remind myself every day, like, where is my money coming from? Like, at the end of the day, what am I really good at? And I need to concentrate on that.
Yeah.
I had a great conversation with someone the other day, and, she's a friend of mine, so I can say this, but, one of her goals is to monetize on YouTube. And YouTube's challenge. YouTube is like the long game, years, years, and dedication and content and paying money for people to help you do it. I said, if I could replace that money with something else, like speaking engagements, branding, consulting, things like that, would you really care about YouTube? And immediately she's like, no, heck no. I want to do this. This is my passion.
Yep.
YouTube, I just thought was a means to that, but maybe it's not. I mean, it's not like don't stop doing that because somebody is going to hear it. It is getting, networking. It is getting you exposure. But at the end of the day, we need to fuel that passion, and like, how many things can I do to grow this today versus this? Because the ROI on this is less than 1%. My return on investment for this is 1,000%.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge, and I'm not an expert in all of this, but I know that you've got to get off the shiny thing and distracting thing. And there's a term for that where we can do these mindless activities because the other activities take more thought, more engagement, more time. But we've got to take time to do that, and trial and error. And so for the ParadeDeck, that's one of the things we're trying to do is like, how do we help with this? How do we get them to focus on these bigger ticket items that you're going to make $5,000 worth versus $2.50 because 50 people saw your YouTube video.
Right.
And I'm just using that as an example.
Well, and sometimes it's the $2.50 that the person wants. So, version 2.0 of BeAuSm, which is being put together now, and I'll share it on this podcast. First thing that I'm sharing. I did a camp for kids, 400 kids over the summer, and I don't talk to kids that often or do group talks with kids, and then everything it's Ask Peach Anything. I want to be an open book and share whatever I can, and so I did an Ask Peach Anything, expecting none of these kids to ask questions, and it was almost an hour and a half of questions, and this young 14, 15-year-old, in front of all of his peers said, "What do you do when you wake up and you're not awesome?" And I was like, "Whoa." Mind blown. I said, well, first thing you got to do is tell yourself that you're awesome. And it was a kind of a defining moment for me and what I was doing, because the shirt says "Be Awesome," right? It's telling people to be awesome. But we're now in a society that most people don't know that they are awesome. And so we've got new stuff coming out that says the letter U, the letter R, and awesome. You are awesome. And my goal is, if I don't make any money and I just give that away, that merchandise away, and I can make the money to do that and earn a living, then that's good. That's good enough for me. I don't need to make money on merchandise. If I could go talk to 400 or 500 kids and tell them that they are awesome and not to be awesome, because too many of us don't know how to do that now, that's a reward. So one, you have to know where the reward is, right? There's finance and there's fulfillment, right? Financial, you need to have a reward. You got to be able to turn the lights off and on, and that's tough. So that comes in my speaking. The fulfillment comes in silly stuff like this and making sure that people know that they hit the lottery when they were born. Because there's only one of them, and there only ever will be, even with this duplication, replication, whatever, the cloning, whatever they're doing. There's only going to be one. There's only going to be one of me, and most people are saying thank God right now. So,
yeah. Hey, and I'm lucky to know the one and only you. I mean, it's about relationships, and I can, everything about me. The good, bad, the ugly, and I appreciate that, because now I don't have to hide anything from you, Joshua. I mean, you're invested in me I'm assuming I'm invested in you, and we're there for each other. And I just appreciate that. So thank you for being on. Thank you for extending
I appreciate it.
past your allotted time, our allotted time for it. And, we're going to do this next year. I'm hoping, like we're raising money for nonprofits, or we're raising money for our creators. But everybody that is today is getting $100. I guess I haven't mentioned that yet. So all of our creators are getting $100 for participating. And the reason that we're doing that is because we want them to understand how important they are. And I know that you just said money's not important, which is correct.
It is important, but with the fulfillment part comes into
yeah, it is important.
Yeah.
But we want to show them, like, this is what this community is all about.
Yeah.
Now they have the choice to donate that to nonprofit if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever they want to do with that $100 is up to them. So I think that, anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there, that I appreciate what you do. You've already donated your money back into the pot, and I appreciate that. So Joshua, if there's anything we can ever do for you, I mean, we love you.
Yep. Love you too, buddy.
I've learned so much from you. So I'm going to let you go. Let's make sure we reach out to Ed. We kind of, hopefully he's going to have a busy season coming up here with donations. But hey, everybody, please visit BeAuSm.com. Josh, I'm going to give you one test. All right. I hope you get it right. Where can people find you, Josh? Where can people find you?
I've said the phone number a couple times. It doesn't accept text messages. You have to call and talk to me, but it's 508-238-5711. Again, it's 508-238-5711. You have to talk to me or leave a message. I call you back. And you'll love my voicemail. It's actually pretty funny. And it also guilts you to leave a voicemail. Email Josh at BeAuSm, and that's BeAuSm.com. I'm really active on LinkedIn as far as engagement and activity with my connections there. I'm on Facebook. You can do BeAuSm Titka. I'm on Instagram, YouTube. I'm on all those places. I'm not a hyperactive social media user. I will get back to you, but it's not always instantaneous. I don't have my notifications on. But best way to reach me is phone or email. Would love to talk to you. I'd love the opportunity to speak with you and your organization, see how I can help. And Andrew, keep knocking it out of the park. You are the best salesperson I know. So I'm glad, and I was honored that you took over my episode here, and this was a lot of fun. And I got to thank my behind the scenes guy who I've been staring at for the last hour and 46 minutes, Adam at the ECAT studios at the Easton Community Access Television. This team over here is fantastic. So when you talk about money and costs and technology and everything else, I'm getting off my soapbox, but there's local access television and media in local communities. Reach out to them. These guys reached out to me. They give me this space. They give me the resources to do this stuff. They put all of my content out on their platforms as well. So I look forward to getting this recording, because I told them I would get this for them to put out on ECAT. Awesome. But the tireless work that these guys do is nothing short of extraordinary. Now they all have BeAuSm shirts for when I come in here, so I'm going to expect them to wear them.
There you go. I'm just going to tell people one more place they can find you is on the ParadeDeck.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so, that's where I failed.
Yeah. You were I know. It was a trick question, but QR code. All I really am doing is setting up the next guest to make sure they get it.
Yeah.
But this QR code does go to your creator page, and the great thing about ParadeDeck is all your stuff is there, except your phone number. Your phone
So
number is not there.
Well, it should be, and it will be in the next few minutes. And I was wondering why my phone has been going off saying I have a new ParadeDeck follower and I have a new message in my ParadeDeck. So this now,
Oh my gosh.
this now is movement. You have been trying to get me to get on the ParadeDeck more frequently, and now I'm going to make that one of my go-tos to go to every day, because somehow I'm now getting text messages on my phone, which the recent one is 16 beer save at we won't say, but 16 beer save is my new follower on ParadeDeck. So thanks for following. I look forward to connecting with you.
Wow, that beats you missing the question about you can be on ParadeDeck. That hit it right there. So yeah, our creators do get text messages if they choose, when they get new followers. So, all right, Josh,
All right.
I'm going to let you go. Be awesome. Love you. Thank
too.
you.
Love you too, my friend. We'll see
I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Come to you from underneath a peach blossom. It's time for an episode of BeAuSm. Find positivity throughout your life and work. Just like our mascot rooster, Steve the Jerk.